I just wanted to share my experience with this in case anyone else is considering it, because I had a lot of the same questions before I rode it day to day. This is an electric bike with a motorcycle-style frame and wide tires, and it is mainly for people who want an electric ride that feels stable on rough streets, uneven paths, and the kind of pavement that is full of cracks and potholes. It can work for commuting, errands, and weekend rides, but it is not the kind of electric bike you buy because you plan to carry it upstairs or lift it onto a rack by yourself all the time. What made it interesting to me is the way it rides compared to a more typical commuter electric bike. The riding position feels a little more laid back, the bike feels planted under you, and the tires and suspension take the edge off bad surfaces. I also like that it gives you the option to ride with the motor doing all the work, or to use pedal assist when you still want to pedal but do not want to arrive sweaty. The first thing I noticed when I started spending time with it is that it looks big in real life. The frame has that retro motorcycle shape, and the tires are thick and tall. It does get attention when I ride it, mostly because it does not look like a standard bicycle. The build feels solid. When I grab the handlebars and rock the bike side to side, there is not that thin, flexy feeling that some lighter electric bikes have. It feels more like a small machine than a bicycle, and that is a compliment in terms of stability, but it comes with a trade-off in weight. In my day-to-day riding, the weight is the thing I think about the most. It is around 95 pounds, and you feel that anytime you need to move it without power. Rolling it on flat ground is fine. Maneuvering it in a tight hallway, turning it around in a small space, or pushing it up a ramp takes more effort than a lighter bike. If you live in a walk-up apartment, I would think hard about that before buying it. I can handle it, but I do not pretend it is convenient. Setup was not difficult, but it was not totally effortless either. Mine came mostly assembled. I had to install the front wheel, straighten and tighten the handlebars, and put on the pedals. It took me about 30 minutes, moving slowly and double-checking everything. The instructions were okay, but if someone has never worked on a bike, I can see them getting stuck for a minute, especially on little details like making sure the brake rotors are seated correctly and the cables are not twisted. After the first ride, I also did a quick check and re-tightened a few bolts, just because shipping and first use can loosen things slightly. Once it was set up, daily use was straightforward. The display is easy to read while riding. I use it to keep an eye on speed, battery level, and what assist mode I am in. The controls are simple enough that I did not need to keep looking down after the first couple of rides. The motor feel is what I would call strong and immediate. This bike is rated at 750 watts, and it can peak higher than that, and in real use that shows up as quick acceleration and better climbing than a lot of entry-level electric bikes. The way I tested it was by riding the same route I use on my normal bike, with a long hill that usually forces me to downshift and grind. On the HAPPYRUN HR-G50, I can stay more relaxed on that hill. In throttle mode, it climbs without hesitation. In pedal assist, it feels like you are still riding a bike, but the hard part of the hill gets softened a lot. It has 3 basic ways to ride. I used pure electric when I was tired or when I was wearing work clothes and did not want to sweat. I used pedal assist most of the time because it feels more natural and it stretches the battery. I did try riding with the motor off, just to see what it feels like. And yes, you can pedal it, but with this much weight, it is not something I would choose for any real distance. If you buy this bike, you are buying it to use the motor. Battery life depends heavily on how you ride. The battery is 48 volts and 18 amp hours. In real terms, for me, pedal assist can get me through a week of short commutes and errands before I feel like I need to charge. And on longer rides, I have seen ranges over 60 miles when I am not using full power constantly. When I use throttle a lot, that range drops, which is expected. Charging takes about 5 to 6 hours in my experience, so I usually plug it in overnight. I also like that the battery is removable. That matters if you store the bike in a garage but want to charge inside, or if you just want to take the battery with you for peace of mind. Ride comfort is one of the strongest parts of the experience. The tires are 20 inches and very wide, and they smooth out broken pavement in a way that surprised me. On roads where my regular bike feels twitchy, this feels calmer. I also ride on some packed gravel and uneven paths, and the combination of fat tires and suspension makes it feel more controlled. The front suspension helps with impacts, and there is also suspension under the seat that takes the sting out of repetitive bumps. That said, the seat itself is not my favorite. It is not terrible, but after a couple of hours I start to notice pressure points. For shorter rides it is fine. For longer weekend rides I would probably swap the saddle, and that is what I plan to do. Comfort is personal, but I think some people will want a different seat pretty quickly. Braking was another area where I had to spend a little time. The bike uses mechanical disc brakes. They work, and once adjusted they stop the bike confidently, but out-of-the-box mine needed tuning. The lever feel was a little soft at first, and I had some light rubbing until I centered the calipers. If you are not used to adjusting brakes, you might want a local shop to do a quick setup. One thing I ran into is that not every shop loves working on heavier, motorcycle-style electric bikes. I have not needed any major service yet, but it is worth checking what support you have locally if you do not like doing your own maintenance. For riding after dark, the lights are genuinely useful. The headlight is bright enough for neighborhood streets, and having a tail light helps with visibility. The turn signals are a nice touch for being seen, though I still use hand signals when it is safe, because drivers do not always notice small lights the way we hope they will. There is also an alarm system, and on a bike like this, I am glad it exists. I still lock it properly, but the extra deterrent helps me feel better when I need to step into a store. Depending on the version and options, there can be tracking features as well. I am not going to pretend that makes it theft-proof, but anything that adds friction for a thief is welcome. Over a few weeks of riding, my overall impression is that the HAPPYRUN HR-G50 is at its best when you treat it like a practical electric ride that happens to feel a bit like a small moped. It is comfortable on rough surfaces, it climbs hills well, and it makes errands and commuting easier when you do not want to show up exhausted. The limitations are the weight, the fact that it is not fun to pedal without power, and the little bit of setup and brake tuning that some people may not expect. If you are considering it, I would ask yourself a simple question. Do you have a place to store a heavy electric bike? And do you actually want something that feels stable and solid more than you want something light and easy to carry? If the answer is yes, I think it makes sense. If you need portability, I would look at a lighter class of electric bike. If you have questions about anything I did not cover, or you want me to test a specific real-life scenario, leave a comment. And if this video helped, subscribe to the channel for more honest, hands-on reviews. Thank you for watching.